Tally-ho internet, my name's Viexi, and this one's going to be a little bit different from my usual videos, so bear with me. If you're usually here for my video game content, there will be more of that on the way, so don't worry too much, there will be more video games. And I'm holding my laptop here as well. I was an idiot and I created an entire script instead of just bullet pointing, because I struggle with bullet points sometimes. So if I'm not making enough eye contact, just know that I'm not too used to this. It's a format that I'll definitely grow into, but thank you if you stick around anyway. I have other stuff in the pipeline as well, but for now, let's cover this topic. For those of you who aren't subscribed to me, I imagine that you are here because you've seen the title and you are wondering if you yourself might have ADHD or autism. You are maybe wondering how to deal with ADHD or autism. Generally looking for information, maybe something hasn't quite felt right and you've discovered, much like I have, ADHD and autism, and it all of a sudden explains 90% of your entire life. Maybe you're specifically looking for tips on how to manage ADHD and autism, especially when it comes to creating and maintaining a YouTube channel. So if that sounds relevant to you, please stick around. We'll cover that in this video, as well as maybe some potential videos in the future as well. So even if you're not just here for gaming content, please do feel free to subscribe. I would love to cover these kind of topics a little bit more in the future. Feel free to ask some questions in the comments and stick around. Maybe we can get some dialogue going. Consider subscribing so that you can either be entertained by me, by my stupid, idiotic videos, like this one.
Oh, let me also put this crucifix down.
Or this one. I plan on covering ADHD and autism in more depth going forward, especially while my channel is so young. But depending on feedback that you guys give me, I might split the content into a separate channel. So let me know what you think. So, ADHD and autism. 2020 and 2021 were pretty interesting. Global pandemic completely changed the way that everything is. You know, it's thrown schedules in disarray. It's made working from home a fact of life for many people. And it's put the power of individualism and independence into the hands of many people who maybe aren't used to that. Not even just from a work perspective, from a creativity and a productivity and a personal interest perspective. I think it's something that continues to be understated is the effect that the pandemic has had on individuals with ADHD and autism. I would like to preface that I am undiagnosed, but heavily suspect. And I think it also explains why a lot of us might be looking towards ADHD and autism as an explanation for why things feel so different, so broken, so different, difficult, going back into a new normal after this pandemic. During the pandemic isn't over. People who like to pretend it is. So I'm not an expert on either condition. Everything that I know about ADHD and autism has been my own research that I've been doing since coming to terms with thinking that I have it. I have been watching a ton of YouTube videos though, like How to ADHD, the Aspie world, Yo Samdy Sam, On the Inside, others that I'm sure I haven't specifically noted. So whilst I won't be going into specifics of what these conditions actually are, I'd like to touch on how I think these conditions have affected me, my ability to start and maintain, I think is maybe the more important word to use there, a YouTube channel, what's causing me to look into diagnoses for ADHD and autism at the ripe old age of 28. Yes, 28, 1993, and where I plan to go from here. So what you might find surprising is that my YouTube channel has been around since about 2011. 2011. It's been around a long time. The subscriber count doesn't really indicate that, but oops. So that's when I first decided to give this YouTuber thing a go. You know, I was young, I was impressionable. I remember at the time I was watching this guy called Toby Turner. YouTube channel was called Tobuscus. And he did like daily vlogs and all this kind of stuff. I think a lot of people know him for his Minecraft videos. But what really kind of sold him for me was the fact that he had a gaming channel, Toby Games. And he specifically played a game called Amnesia: The Dark Descent on his channel. And this was something that I'd only ever seen once before. And I can't remember the guy's name, unfortunately. It was Cloud something. Years before this, I think he used a video camera to record his his computer screen, and he was playing a game called Penumbra. Another frictional game by the developers of Amnesia: The Dark Descent, but I digress. Yeah, he was playing this game called Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and it was really compelling because, you know, you were kind of watching both this guy's personality and him playing the game at the same time. It was scary and compelling in just a brand new way that no one had ever really seen before, because you had the excitement of watching the gameplay itself, and you also had the balance of the creator's personality kind of filling in the gaps. And there was definitely a parasocial element to it, as there certainly is. It's kind of the buzzword now lately with social media and influencers, but it was, you know, I was enamored at the time. Decided that I would give myself the opportunity to try and do this YouTube thing. So I created this channel, figured out how to record my screen and audio and capture my velvety tones and my stupid accent that everyone seems to think is Australian, even though it's not. I can absolutely guarantee. And then I created my very first YouTube Let's Play series. Amnesia: The Dark Descent in the style of Toby Turner from Tobuscus. Here, look, check this out. This is me. You can't make this.
Yeah! Smashed it!
You just can't make this up.
Wow. Oh!
I didn't magically become famous overnight. I didn't expect to. Well, I mean, to be honest, I kind of hoped I did. No worries, because this other game came out called Crisis 2, and I figured, well, okay, maybe the horror game didn't work out for me because that had already been done by someone else. So maybe I should try this military shooter. Kind of this futuristic alien military shooter game, blah, blah, blah. So I recorded that. I recorded Portal 2, which is still on my channel. I don't know why, I got rid of the Crisis one for some reason. Who knows? To put a long and very difficult to remember story short, I didn't get an engaging amount of engagement. Gave up on the idea of becoming internet famous. YouTube didn't pan out the way I thought it was going to. Who knew? I'd played and recorded 3 entire games, learned to edit them, struggled to balance both playing and recording them on my PC. It was tough to do. Talking to camera was tiring because I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't. Yikes. Then in 2014, the winds of change kind of started to blow. I remember watching this guy called Markiplier. He was kind of, you know, big-ish at the time. And then Five Nights at Freddy's happened. Then you had this other guy, Jacksepticeye. He was also gaining traction at the time. I specifically remember seeing one of his very first videos where he did a Solid Snake impression from Metal Gear Solid 4. And he was just kind of like this scared little Irish guy who, you know, I think that people were kind of worried that they were going to realize he was Irish, and he spent a lot of his early videos hiding his accent. Bless it. I thought to myself, wow, I love video games. I loved editing videos when I did that before. I can also do that. I didn't end up jumping into YouTube again proper till 2015, after I'd built myself a pretty good gaming PC. So between 2015 and 2017, I tried to give YouTube a good go. There's a bit of a smattering of videos and how that went. Posting Let's Plays of popular games, some other interesting smaller ones, and attempted to grow a little bit of an audience. This was the beginning of YouTube's kind of algorithm-focused era. Engagement and watch time were beginning to matter just a lot more than video views alone. But I was super scared of horror games and jump scares, and to be honest, I kind of still am. I don't think I ever really kind of committed to the formula to make much of a dent. So these were the videos that were in vogue at the time. I had some pretty well-received videos that did gain a moderate number of views, but nothing groundbreaking. Burnt myself out on the idea that I needed to release 2 videos a day every single day. That was a mistake, just to try and keep up with the big guys. I lost love for what I was doing, ultimately gave up on the idea. My channel had become a burden on me. It was really affecting my mental health. It was difficult just to maintain and keep up with it. And, you know, I was putting on a personality the whole time, trying to keep myself interesting, and it became hard. And there were so many times where I would describe to other people that despite everything that I have done in my life, and I've worked in IT and I've worked in sales and I've done door-to-door sales and all this blah, 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 telephone sales, labor, YouTube was by far one of the most taxing and burnouty things that I had done. The channel went quiet as I relented to my growing need to abandon ship. It became a graveyard for my odd PS4 videos, and it just kind of continued to exist in the background. A failed husk of a personal project that in some ways I was still proud of, but in other ways signaled my failure to keep going with a hobby that I aspired to. but irreparably soured myself on. That's how I've written it in this script. Oh man, that's kind of dramatic. But Viexi, I can hear you typing into the comments already. If you failed twice already, what makes you think that you're an authority on ADHD, autism, neurodivergence, and succeeding at YouTube now when you only have 497 subscribers? Okay, first of all, harsh. 497 subscribers is a large number of people. The Boeing 7478 Intercontinental accommodates a maximum of 467 passengers, so 30 of my subscribers are staying home when that plane takes off. But more importantly, I don't see myself as an authority on ADHD, autism, or neurodivergence in any way. Because for my entire life, I've been raised as a neurotypical person, and I just believed myself to be like everyone else. You know, sure, talking to literally anybody during my daily life was agonizingly tiring, but everyone felt that way, right? Everyone needs to take a nap after calling to make an appointment, don't they? Normal people have to leave a buffer between every activity that they do to build up enough motivation to do it in the first place. Am I understanding that correctly? Every single person finds it hard to focus on more than one thing at a time. Say it ain't so? Everyone just forgets to go to the toilet or drink a single glass of water in a day because they're too engrossed in whatever thing that they're doing. Assuredly, surely everyone, having been told to work from home due to a global pandemic, having the opportunity to shirk the regular 9-to-6 office lifestyle, is desperate to never work another day in the office ever again, now that we've proven that it's possible, right? Maybe there is something to all of this after all, haha. So all joking aside, let me make it perfectly clear, if I haven't already, that I have not received a formal diagnosis of autism or ADHD, but I have had an initial assessment that has concluded that further assessment is warranted for both conditions. Currently on a waiting list for separate ADHD and autism diagnoses, and all of the research into both conditions has been shockingly relatable for me. ADHD and autism subreddits have been immensely helpful in both their support of self-diagnosis, or maybe more accurately self-identification, and in supporting like experiences even if they don't correlate with ADHD or autism. I think it's important to specify again that this pandemic... I need to breathe. I think it's important to specify again that this pandemic has been completely mind-blowing for me specifically. It's been completely mind-blowing for me because it's obliterated the fallacy that society is unshakable and unchangeable. And even if I don't have ADHD or autism, conditions that better suit my personal needs are not only possible, but vital for my continued well-being. I'm sure that I'm not alone in this inter-pandemic experience, and doubtlessly detractors of both mental health advocacy and invisible disabilities will tout this as just another part of the autism pandemic, ignoring that more people than ever are now able to access resources that are alerting them to and assisting them in diagnosing these conditions in themselves. So let's just safely assume that my personal likelihood of having both ADHD and autism, or either one of the conditions, is sufficiently high, and that I'm now armed with that knowledge and the ways that I can overcome my deficits. How do I think that I might use that knowledge to make sure that my chances of succeeding at YouTube a third time lucky, are much, much higher than before? Well, slow and steady wins the race. So one of the most important aspects that I've returned to YouTube with is to not overstep my personal limitations. Back in 2015, I'd absolutely convinced myself that if I wasn't uploading multiple times a day, that I would fall behind and that I would never amount to anything. I'd never grow or build a community or improve my viewership. I burned myself out quickly and routinely told everyone that doing YouTube was the hardest thing that I had done up to that point in time. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like a healthy way to engage in a hobby or anything. In recognizing that I also may have autism, I recognized that my energy levels are finite. They are definitely not infinite like a lot of people seem to have. I don't understand that personally, but my energy levels are finite. I get the impression that neurotypical people just don't think of their energy levels in this way, or that they're affected differently, but I can easily become fatigued and rendered non-functioning by things that are as simple and as small as a stressful episode, or speaking or socializing too much, spending too much time around a person or a situation that makes me uncomfortable, overthinking things way too much, working way too much, vague or contextless instructions, and yes, by not getting enough rest. It's especially important for me to recognize when I'm pushing myself too hard and to allow myself time or space to recuperate, to reflect. Else I'm liable to have what I now recognize as a meltdown due to overstimulation. There's actually a video that I covered called Robin. This is one from about 5 years ago now, I think. I'll leave a card up there where you can check out that video. It covers spoon theory. And if you don't know what spoon theory is, basically it's a way of quantifying a limited amount of energy that someone has. Do check it out. I explain the whole thing in that video. Incidentally, all my life, I've also had issues with starting new creative projects, dropping them as soon as they become difficult or I begin to experience diminishing returns and the dopamine hit tapers off. For example, a few years ago, I had tried to learn Japanese, a notoriously difficult language to learn as a
monolingual
English person. As soon as I began to have trouble remembering all of the kanji flashcards in one go, and I couldn't just throw more time into memorizing them even more than I was already trying, I began to lose interest and I lost motivation. As a result, I don't know any Japanese now. If I'd kept going by practicing just a few flashcards a day and investing 15 minutes of my time daily into remembering them, I'd probably know quite a bit of Japanese by now, especially considering I started doing that again like 5 years ago. Oops. If I'd done 15 minutes a day right up to today, I'd probably be fluent in Japanese. 15 minutes. That's like the amount of time that I spend scrolling on social media at any one time. I let myself down by not continuing to invest just a tiny amount into learning Japanese over a longer period. This is also where I let myself down when it comes to YouTube as well. Where would I be now if I had accepted that I didn't have to upload 2 damn videos a day and had just uploaded once or twice a week, like I do now currently, instead of 14 like the influencer machine that I was trying to emulate? I can guarantee that I'd be in a much better place than I am now. Having not just breached 500 subscribers, I could be, you know, on the same levels as like Dom Plays or John Wolf. But instead, I gave up. I didn't upload anything in that 5-year span between 2017 to now, basically, because I told myself that if I wasn't doing 2 videos a day, that it wasn't worth it to do it at all. Slow and steady wins the race. Alongside this, it's also important to set your expectations from the start. So you might have heard multiple times that doing YouTube or any creative endeavor should never be about the numbers. And for the most part, that is true. I mean, what is the fun in doing something that you're not doing for your own enjoyment? That said, obviously, most of us post videos to have them viewed by others. And whilst that probably isn't true for everyone, it can hurt when you've perfectly produced and edited a video and it gets seen by like 3 people. And then the YouTube algorithm buries it. It sucks. It can utterly ruin any enthusiasm that you had for the grind. As many of you probably know already, for someone with ADHD, it can be a deal breaker and destroy that beautiful, beautiful dopamine hit that an upward trending graph gives. Unfortunately, YouTube as a hobby for anyone starting out for the first time is a harrowing process of doing everything that you possibly can to make your videos as visible as possible. From optimizing your tags and video description for the best possible chances of appearing at least halfway down the 4th page of YouTube search results, to creating multiple video thumbnails in the hopes that a particularly eye-catching one will net you an extra 10 views. It can help to make sure that you're doing this not only for the views, but to appeal to a creative need that you have in the moment. If you're scratching your creative itch and you're satisfied with the content that you're creating, the views are hopefully just an added bonus on top of that. You're much more likely to have fun doing what you do. And as a knock-on effect, you might find that your genuine enjoyment is infectious for chance viewers and they decide to subscribe for you for that reason alone. And even so, remember that even just 8 people viewing your video, it's 8 whole people. 8 whole people! They took the time to view your video, to check it out. If you're lucky, maybe they'll even comment and subscribe. And over time, as you continue to create more videos that you're proud of, you'll eventually grow a small number of people who will routinely give you views with every single video that you post. This is how you begin. And again, upward graph to build an audience. And it will also help you out with my next point, which is every video is a stepping stone. So bear this in mind. Even if your views are low and aren't performing as well as you'd hope, every video that you post publicly is a video that can be found at any time on the platform. A search result that might pop up for any person at any moment, provided that you've tagged and named it correctly and done a good job with your search engine optimization. Maybe it only gets 14 views on the day that you upload it, but it's one more tool in your arsenal of videos that can work in your favor at any point down the line. Create playlists of series. If you post loads of random videos, try to categorize them into playlists in a way that makes sense. Eventually, you'll attract a viewer or a group of viewers who enjoy your daily uploads and want to go back through your legacy content. By giving them a playlist to watch, you'll make it much easier for them to stay on your channel. All of a sudden, you've gone from 2 hours of view time to 20 hours overnight, all because a viewer, and hopefully subscriber, wanted to watch your older content. As this continues, YouTube might start suggesting your content to more people organically, based on the fact that all of a sudden it got this viewership out of nowhere, and suddenly it starts thinking, maybe there's something to this person. Let's start putting them out there. It's all about playing the long game, baby. And believe me, I know how hard it is to play a long game when all you want to do is find the next thing that makes you feel good, and struggling to break 2-digit views on any video that you post feels good, man. So let's say that you're posting twice a week. You're following this advice so far. That gives you plenty of time to play with your style. The chances are that you're working on your videos as a hobby and you're not spending much money, if any, on a video editor. And that means that you are the writer, you're the producer, and the editor of everything that you do. You're a cute little hobbyist who puts a little of themselves into everything that you do. But the format is growing a little bit stale, and the excitement of doing the YouTubes is beginning to wear a little bit thin. This is the perfect time to switch things up a little bit. It can sometimes feel real good to record a video, have it ready to publish in a matter of hours. But as is true in many other forms of media, a good edit can make or break the entire project. It can spare a couple of days between If you can spare a couple of days in between each of your video uploads, it might be tough. Try to change things up a little bit with interesting edits, video transitions, or other techniques that give your content that extra little bit of flair. Look up video editing tutorials. Learn to Chroma Key. Figure out how to add graphics and other visual effects elements to your videos using Adobe After Effects or a similar software suite. Play with zooms or add music or sound effects. Learn to use a free video editing suite such as DaVinci Resolve, which is actually pretty big in the creative industry. That could give you some transferable skills that you can add elsewhere, maybe if you consider work later on down the line. Begin working in media as opposed to just for yourself creating YouTube videos. You could maybe even just try emulating a style or a particularly interesting edit that you see in someone else's video, just to see what you can do, just to learn some skills, figure out how they did it. Everything that you try can be applied to a YouTube video of your own in the future, and it means that you're constantly learning new things. See what you can do with a video that you edit in 2 days instead of just 1. You'll pick up some transferable video editing skills whilst also keeping the process of editing and recording your own videos interesting. Your back catalogue can then work as a portfolio of sorts of your growing skills and keep you in the game longer. Whilst we're on the topic of growing your skills and improving your overall quality, make use of your innate productivity. If you're anything like me, you have a superpower that you might be able to tap into, and that's your ability to focus on something that supremely and profoundly interests you to the point that it's hard for you to break away from it. This is the perfect opportunity to get a lot of stuff done, whether that's recording a ton of footage ahead of time or editing multiple videos together back to back, or indeed just learning new skills that can help you do both of those things better or faster. When I first started YouTube, I developed this strange and unexplainable habit of recording one 10-minute section of a game, and then I'd edit it and upload it straight away. Not only was this daft and inefficient, but it would completely ruin my focus. It would cause me to shift gears from presenting mode to work mode. It made it hard to go back to recording videos after the fact. The two processes are so different that trying to swap between them would more often than not leave me with no videos recorded, no footage to edit. So where possible, try to record as much of your footage ahead of time. Leave yourself a dedicated time to focus specifically on video editing and production. Where possible, you should block those times out in your schedule with a process known as time blocking, which I learned from How to ADHD, which has been supremely helpful in making sure that I remain accountable to my own production cycle while I'm trying to remain self-motivated. The switch from multitasking to monotasking alone made a profound difference for me, and it's something that I only learned to do this year. It's what allowed me to complete recording and editing a month's worth of videos in only a few days before my trip to the US, which I am still here now. This isn't all to say that making YouTube videos and growing an audience will be suddenly easy for you to do now that you've watched this video. So please always remember that you need to take care of yourself. Remember the person creating the videos. i.e. you. Sometimes you might not be in the mood to record a video, and that's absolutely fine. Maybe you had a tough day at work, or maybe you had an argument with somebody that you love, or you've lost something important to you, or you're simply just having a bad brain day. If you need to break from your schedule, never hesitate to do so for the sake of your health. Don't record anything for a week if you're really up against it. Focus on doing whatever you want to do if you feel no interest in doing YouTube all the time, or at that time. One of the worst things that you can do is try to work through burnout or disinterest. Because not only will you exhaust yourself, you'll come to regard something that should be fun and enjoyable as negative. And I think that this tip is especially pertinent for those with autism, as those of us who have autism already tend to mask or suppress our natural personality around other people. Masking is suppressing your autistic personality for fear of being seen as weird or eccentric to other people and being shunned from society, to better blend into neurotypical society. And I think that this tip is especially pertinent for those with autism, as those of us who have autism already tend to mask to better blend into neurotypical society. And I find that putting on a fun personality for the camera can be just as taxing, if not more so, than masking around real people. I'm gonna need to sleep after I record this. In front of the camera, we're putting on a personality that is usually much more energetic and animated than we are in real life, in order to make us compelling and watchable. It takes a ton of mental energy to maintain. And meanwhile, especially for myself, because I'm not receiving any immediate feedback on what I'm doing, it can be very easy to feel like we're overcompensating, burning ourselves out even faster. Presenting for video is something that even neurotypical people need to learn to do. It's not something that comes naturally to most, if anyone. One of my favorite examples of this is Rob Pearson from the PlayStation Access YouTube channel. He's very well known for his playful and upbeat voiceovers for his Friday features that he posts.
Hello, you've caught me going back in time, back to when I used to sit here drinking Dr. Pepper and shouting at badger puppets.
In those voiceovers, his voice is bubbly and emphatic. It's got a bouncy and approachable tone that really draws you into the video. But if you watch any of his other channel videos where he's simply talking and being himself, or he's maybe interviewing someone, you'll find that his voice is rather flat and monotonous and relaxed.
So I don't know if this comment's a joke or not, but I liked it. Of that video, Sparrow241 says, "This seems like an awesome idea for an actual game." I mean, it is
so
a joke
complicated, wouldn't
because but it is an actual game.
You imagine
It's Hitman.
just a bunch of actors there if it was an actual game. And every time you put the disc in, wake up, Sonis, put the disc in, voice actors with cameras on, lights, go.
He isn't trying to play an energetic character based on himself in those videos. He's just simply being himself. So if even regular people need to amp up their personality, imagine how exhausting this can be for a neurodivergent person who needs to do this all the time, and then again on a video that should be fun to record. It's a one-way ticket to Burnoutsville if you don't pace yourself and accommodate for your own needs. And something that I feel like really needs to also be touched on is that people can just be really nasty sometimes. It's so easy to see a discouraging comment on something that we spent hours, days, or even weeks working on. And that's totally normal. We have been hardwired to survive. And that means that our brains react in very specific ways depending on the circumstances. Pain makes us recoil away from whatever is causing the stimulus. We tend to continue to indulge in activities that feel good, and that keeps us doing what we want to do or what we feel like we should be doing, and forces us to stay away from things that feel bad, which can mean that criticism ends up being our Achilles heel when creating and presenting videos. And it's important to recognize that just because someone says that your video is bad, or they comment that your voice is flat, or they're just generally nasty, to not take that to heart. 9 times out of 10, it's a problem on their end. It's not a problem with what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with constructive criticism. It's important that we all learn and grow, and criticism can be used as a tool to make sure that we're keeping ourselves true to our vision. But people are nasty, and it's important to recognize that you can't let that ruin what you love doing. And for now, that's all I've really got. At least based on my experience coming back to YouTube so far. The game here is to keep doing YouTube and keep it varied, and to have fun without burning yourself out in the process. It's always going to be a difficult balance to maintain, especially if your goal is to grow as a creator. Far too often it's easy to fall into the trap of working too hard, but With YouTube especially, this isn't something that can or should be rushed. Following my own philosophies above has kept YouTube feeling fresh for me so far, has helped keep the sting of underperforming videos manageable, and has helped keep me motivated and to keep growing my channel, which is a slow process, but it's definitely happening. If you have any tips for keeping yourself motivated when you tackle any kind of personal project, whether it be work or personal or creative or anything like that, or if you feel like there's anything that I've missed in this video, please do let me know in the comments below. Let's get a dialogue going. It boosts engagement. Makes me feel good. But it'll also help anyone who stumbles on this video. It'll also give me an opportunity to learn from you guys, and hopefully I've done ADHD and autism a service. It's common for us to doubt ourselves, I know that much. YouTube can be a remarkably rewarding experience for many people, but on the other hand, utterly crushing in its defeats. So some shared motivation could help us all out. Leave me a comment down below if you would like to know my story and why I'm seeking a diagnosis of ADHD. And did you see that ghost orb? It was dust. I literally saw it flying in front of me. Let me know if you want to see my story and you're curious to know why I am looking for a diagnosis of ADHD and ASD, because that's a long story, but I'd love to tell it. So thank all of you for watching. Please like the video. Dislike it if you don't like it. That's helpful too. And I hope that we'll be seeing each other again very soon.